Live from the new Life Center studios in Coconut Creek, Florida, and Phoenix, Arizona, it's Nothing Worthwhile, giving you the latest news in pop culture, sports, entertainment, and professional wrestling. You know, all the crap you don't care about. Here's Evan Moody and Andrew Gruthius.
After these messages. You guys suck!
Parties are the hottest ticket around.
They won't even give me a permit for the parties, man. They don't want me to throw the parties no more. But we ain't gonna stop. We're gonna keep on having fun, bringing people together from all walks of life. You're gonna hear about my parties. They're gonna be shutting them down. They're gonna probably be arresting me, doing all types of crazy things just because we wanna have a good time. You know, whenever you bring up a different element into people's environment, things that broaden people's horizons, people get intimidated. There's a lot of people out there that feel intimidated by it. It ain't nothing but breaking down racial barriers, breaking down generation barriers. People from all walks of life. Ron Perlman talking to Jay-Z. Jay-Z talking to, you know what I'm saying? It just goes on and on. You know, it's just like people from all walks of life connecting and getting together.
Mm-hmm. Dying to get into your party. How does that make you feel?
It doesn't make me feel any way special. It doesn't make me feel like a bigger person. It just makes me feel like I know how to throw a party.
I didn't hear no bell! Get up, you son of a bitch! Mickey loves you.
I didn't hear no bell. One more round.
All right, we're back, ladies and gentlemen. We'll have more action for you momentarily. At this time, obviously conspicuous by his absence is the Macho Man Randy Savage. And I'd like to announce, unfortunately, that Randy Savage has been unable to sign a contract with the World Wrestling Federation, not unable to rather come to terms with the World Wrestling Federation for a new contract. But Randy, I know you're out there listening. And on behalf of all of us here in the World Wrestling Federation, all of your fans, and certainly me, the number one fan, I'd like to say thank you for all of your positive contributions to the World Wrestling Federation. Thank you, Randy Savage, for all of the wonderful memories for so many years here in the World Wrestling Federation. We wish you nothing but the best. Godspeed and good luck.
It's over! Now will come the tombstone! No? Oh my God, wait a minute, it's Paul Bear! It's Paul Bear! And that's gotta be Kane! That's gotta be Kane! Screw you! You're fired! You're fired! Whoa! You're fired! You're fired! You're fired! You're fired! You're fired! You're fired! Donald Trump, you're fired! You're fired! You're fired! You're fired! Oh, baby! You're fired! You're fired! You're fired! You're fired! Oh my! Randy Orton, you're...
Vince McMahon, the infamous founder of World Wrestling Entertainment, has resigned as executive chairman of its parent company. The move came a day after McMahon was accused of sexual assault and sex trafficking in a lawsuit. A former WWE employee, Janelle Grant, claims she was physically and emotionally abused by McMahon. He's denied the allegations and says he's stepping down out of respect for the WWE universe.
Thank you, Jefferson Starship. Welcome to Nothing Worthwhile, episode number 130.
I didn't know Jefferson Starship did No Chance in Hell.
Oh my gosh,
that's awesome.
Well, Jane,
I mean that's diverse. I mean that's pretty damn good. That's opposite ends of the spectrum right there.
Well, let's get to this, by the way, because I do have one question. Look, okay, are you like now Hulk Hogan exerting creative control? Are you exerting creative control in your contract? Because
why?
We were talking about the clips. So I sent you Vince singing "Stand Back," and what you sent me back, you substituted it for the CNBC article, which we already played on an earlier podcast, where they announced his allegation.
I didn't have "Stand Back" in there.
Not the one you sent me.
Oh my God, I screwed up. You know what? You're right.
And then I said to him,
"You are correct, sir."
What about Vince's "No Chance in Hell"? Oh, sorry, forgot.
No, you didn't say that. I checked the email. You didn't say that.
No, but it's on the notes. It says Jane and I had the link.
I don't think it said that. I looked at the email. It didn't say that.
All right, that's fine. All right, everybody. Well, thank you, Jefferson Starship, for Jane.
What was that first thing you were talking about, though?
The Stand Back clip?
Yeah, okay.
Oh, yeah.
No, I'm going to pull that up because I think at some point we're going to want to play at least a little tiny snippet of
Well, I mean, I think of that clip, it's just the wonderful ridiculousness and audacity of Vince McMahon. I mean, it's just
all right. We'll get to it. Okay. All
right, we can talk about it in a little bit, but all right, guys, welcome to Nothing Worthwhile, episode number 130. On today's show, we will discuss and review the fairly controversial Netflix documentary, Mr. McMahon, as well as discuss even more WWE, which is taking place. It'll be tomorrow evening in the Allstate Arena in Atlanta, Georgia. Special start time because I think UFC 307 is going to be a couple hours later. So the WWE, I think it's a 6:35 Eastern start time for Bad Blood.
What are they on TBS?
Oh, 6:30. Maybe 6:30. I don't know why.
Remember that? Remember
that? Yes. What was the thinking there? Were
I
they trying to get an early,
I guess
early jump on viewership?
I don't know. It must be. So it was so weird, and then it just stopped out of nowhere. I don't know what it was. But.
Well, we're doing a special Friday evening taping. I am Evan Moody, and I am coming to you live from Phoenix, Arizona. He is Andrew Gruthius, coming to us live from Coconut Creek, Florida. Groo, how are you doing this lovely Friday evening?
Doing fine. It's a lovely Friday evening. Yes, it is. Thank God we missed the hurricane.
Yeah, wow.
We're seeing all the terrible damage that it's doing. We somehow, knock wood, we keep getting lucky here. Everything's fine here. Weather's good. Rained a little bit today, but that's it's part of the DNA and enjoyable to an extent. So all is well on my end. Happy Shana Tova to you.
Shana Tova to you as well. Yes,
I could tell you. I could tell you just came from shul. I could see you blew the shofar. I could see your redness in your face.
I was walking the dogs Wednesday evening, and my neighbor Kara Levin was like, "Happy Rosh Hashanah." I was like, "What?" Oh yeah. I FaceTimed Andy. I was all nervous. I'm like, "What's going on? How's the hurricane?" And he was like in a pool. We had like a drink with one of those little umbrellas. And he was like, "Everything's fine."
Yeah, it's tough. We're okay. We're all right. Don't worry about us.
Speaking of creative control, the last podcast I opened up and I said, "How are you doing?" And I was like, the weather's starting to break here in Phoenix. And Andy was like talking real slow, like, "I'm doing fine." So, of course, I come to find out when I listen to the podcast, you had your stupid voice modulator on.
Yeah.
Like, "Oh, fine."
I was screwing around.
Doesn't let me know. I can't hear it on my end.
I know. I was screwing around. I didn't know what it was going to sound like. I've never actually tried it.
Had I known, I might have worked it into a bit or something like that.
Yeah, it's tough when you can't hear it. So, look, we got it.
I'm like, is he no selling me again on this podcast? I'm like, hey, the weather's starting.
No selling.
He's like, I'm fine.
I guess we just, you know what? If we start our own merch line and we start raising some funds, maybe we can put some money into the show.
One could dream. We did say we were going to make a shirt like for WrestleMania, like all the something like that.
We say a lot, don't we?
We do say a lot.
Maybe maybe we'll ask Marie for like retroactive payments for all the sponsorships going back 2 years now.
Maybe she might work out something for us. Speaking of saying too much, the reason why Andrew and I are taping Friday evening is for those who catch us on the last of the Action Heroes podcast network. We do a little show called Van Damme It in honor of Jean-Claude Van Damme, and on our return back to the podcast network, we did Black Eagle, which, by the way, I mean, I'm still thinking about your comments when you said, like, I need Ken Tani. What a horrible mess of a movie. It's actually, if you get a chance to listen to it, I think we had a lot of fun with it. But I had I had messaged Ryan Rabalkin, the CEO of the last of the Action Heroes podcast network, and he sent back a surprise face emoji, and so he had comments for that piece on his One More Round Rocky V podcast, and then Andrew bemoaned that we've sort of had an invite dangling in the wind to appear on the Rocky podcast. Currently, they're doing Rocky V, and how he would love to get out there and do a dissection of Rocky V. So the next Rocky V One More Round podcast with Ryan, Kyle, and Katie. They played a couple of our clips ever so lovingly and had some fun comments back to us. So apparently Katie is off on vacation. So Andrew and I, tomorrow morning, 12 p.m. Eastern, 9 Pacific, will be on the One More Round Rocky V podcast, chopping it up with Ryan and Kyle. And so any thoughts, Andrew, going in? We're going to be on a guest host spot.
Yeah, I'm very excited about this. I always bitch and moan. And I'm finally the dog is finally getting his bone. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to talking about something that I really do enjoy talking about, and that's the movie Rocky V. I love talking about what is and what might have been and behind the scenes.
What do you?
I know a lot about it.
Hold on. What is and what was that now? What is
and what might have been, meaning what?
What do you? What are you? Are you Kamala Harris? What's going on
here?
Yeah,
it's like there's a lot there's a lot of behind the scenes stuff. What is and what was shall be. What is will be no more. No, I there's a lot of stuff of behind the scenes stuff that I love talking about. I enjoy talking. I enjoy doing those deep dives into nothing worthwhile.
Okay.
I'm looking forward to going on there and having some more misunderstandings that are going to end up in a pissing contest again. I just love it how that always seems to happen. The most innocuous of comments ends up being a complete misunderstanding. We're like a bad sitcom.
Well, I think I think I've been vindicated based on the comments. Kyle clearly brought up that the surprise face emoji is not a thumbs up or a heart emoji, and how that can be misconstrued. And yes, I'm being slightly tongue in cheek there. I just loved Ryan's comments on Andy. Hey, he gives us the compliment, but with the compliment.
Yeah,
the pound of flesh. Here you go. You hear Groo. Moody's talking, and Groo's wheezing in the background, wincing in the background. Frothing at the bit. But I can assure everybody, and I've said to Ryan off mic, it's all good nature. I'll probably introduce myself, say one or two witty things, and then let the Rocky Nerddom universe debate. Whatever topic they're going to discuss in regards to Rocky V. But I look forward to chopping up. I look forward to meeting Kyle, and we'll do it. We'll do it tomorrow. We'll do it live.
Yes, very excited.
All right, Andrew. Before we check out all things Mr. McMahon, It's 5 things we are talking about this week. It's nothing worthwhile. The week that was.
New You Life Center presents Nothing Worthwhile, the week that was.
Yes, I'm looking at New You Life Center, my beautiful wife Marie's new business card. Oh yes, look at the B10.
Sorry, I'm not allowed
B10 Helvetica print in a fine gloss matte. No, I mean I was thinking of like American Psycho.
Let me see that picture again. She's looking good. Go Marie.
Hey, calm down, my friend.
Take it easy. Relax.
Listen, guys, you know New You Life Center. Begin a new you. Check out all their medical weight loss programs at www.newyoulifecenters.com. Give them a call at 602-274-0068. Tell them that Evan Moody and Andrew Gruthius sent you and receive a big 15% off your first service. We want to thank Marie, Erica, Desiree, Brian, Shelby, Dr. Nabla, and the rest of the New You team. Thank you to New You Life Center. I think, look, we had some big deaths this week. Let's start off with the bad news first. And obviously, I think the first one I want to talk about is Andrew. Unfortunately, Cincinnati Reds legend Pete Rose was found dead at his home last Monday in Clark County, Nevada. The Clark County Coroner's Office, at least at the time when I got these notes, could not immediately be reached, and they could not confirm any additional details in regards to Rose's death. I think they did come out with maybe heart disease or something like that a day or two later. ABC News reported that a family member found Pete Rose and said that there were no signs of foul play. ABC News report also said that Rose, 83, had not been in the care of a doctor at the time of his death. His home was examined, and the cause of death, at least at this time, remained under investigation. Groo, there was no indication that Pete Rose had been seriously ill at the time. However, in 2018 court filings connected to his divorce, it was quoted that he was in poor health and disabled. In the same divorce case, Rose's lawyer said he struggled to walk, was on blood thinners, and had undergone 3 heart procedures in 5 years. I mean, I really don't need to read the whole rest of the thing, but apparently a day before he was at Music City Sports Collectibles, an autograph show. I think he had done even a show with Ric Flair just a few days earlier. I saw Ric Flair's post. So Pete Rose passing. The Cincinnati Reds also confirmed Rose's death in a statement last Monday. Our hearts are deeply saddened by the news of Pete's passing, said Reds owner Bob Castellini. He was one of the fiercest competitors the game has ever seen, and every team he played was better because of him. Pete was a Red through and through. The all-time hit leader began his record-breaking career in Cincinnati and won 2 World Series titles there. He had lived in Nevada for years near Las Vegas, where he owned a now-closed bar and frequently made public appearances and signed baseball memorabilia. Of course, he was back in the news as the subject of a recent HBO documentary about his life on and off the field. Reflecting on his own mortality and legacy with the Inquirer in June, Pete Rose said the following: "What are they, waiting for me to die?" Talking about the consequences of gambling and Hall of Fame. Rose said of his chances of getting into the Hall of Fame, "Wouldn't that be horrible if I died next week and then the next year they reinstated me?" Andrew Gruthius, rest in peace, Charlie Hustle.
Yeah, I mean, here's a guy who, in my opinion, got royally screwed.
Thank you. We can definitely agree on that one. You know what?
I thought it then too. I really did.
Good.
But he was not doing well. Since then, I think Tony Perez had an interview today. He was at that thing the day before he died. He said he wasn't feeling well. He wasn't looking well. He was in a wheelchair. You know.
Well, he didn't look good. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, he said it was clear. You know, he was not the old Pete. And Johnny Bench had said something similar. So I think he was in ill health. And I just feel you know what? I'm so conflicted how to feel for a guy like that. I feel so bad for him on one level, but then on the other level, I say, all right, here's a guy who was blessed with a talent that any of us would kill or die for, and he got there, and he was there, and he lived it, and So I don't know how to feel about, him. All I will say is that he is one of the best to ever do it. He should absolutely be in the Hall of Fame. He should absolutely have been in baseball for the last 30 years because there is no, in my opinion, there is no better example of the true grit of baseball than Pete Rose. That's a grit that doesn't exist today, that will never exist again. Just a love for the game and a desire to win that is just that just you don't get. And I'm not going to call his death tragic. I mean, he was older and ill. He did accomplish just an amazing array of things, but also what might have been. So, but yeah, rest in peace. He's earned it. Met him a couple times. Couldn't have been nicer. But it's just too bad that a guy like that would have to spend the only time you'd see him was these hawking signed baseballs because he needs to. They don't do it unless they need to. And a guy like that, the greatest to ever do it, or one of them, shouldn't need to. And I just.
Well, that's a whole.
That's a bummer.
That's a whole. Yeah, that's a whole other debate. I mean, obviously, I think you can look at Pete's life and say a life well lived. To
the fullest,
probably to the fullest. I mean, clearly, the biggest thing, obviously, when I heard the news and I'm driving home when I'm listening to the sports talk, everybody's talking about the debate with the Hall of Fame. I'm very pleasantly surprised you came out very strongly for it. I absolutely agree with you.
It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense.
It's I was listening to Fox Sports, FS1, and Rob Parker, who's been a baseball writer for the last 30, 40 years. He's a guy I kind of respect. He said, listen, it's a band. It's a band. There's signs in every Major League Baseball locker room that talks about gambling. My response to that would be, it's been so watered down over the years with the inclusion of gambling and these websites. It's so
it's cute how the same company that advertises with DraftKings and FanDuel are going to keep Pete Rose out of their house.
Okay, well that's what I'm talking about, the hypocrisy. I think my thing, I don't want to drag us too far with Pete, but it looked like maybe 5 years ago there was a little bit of momentum going. He had made some appearances. He was allowed to appear, I think, on a couple of Cincinnati Red games, special events, and there was some talk about him perhaps negotiating with baseball. They referenced it a little bit in that HBO documentary, which I did not like.
Really?
I thought I felt
I
like
liked it a lot.
There was one scene in particular I felt very bad for Pete. I don't know if you remember, he's at a sports memorabilia show. He's with that younger hotshot attorney who's kind of like his friend, and he gets interviewed by that young girl, and I think he says something like, "Look, honey," and she starts crying. And I mean, he's of a generation, he doesn't understand that's déclassé in 2024, just like maybe my dad would. It's no hard feelings. He's just from a different generation. She's hysterically crying like she just got assaulted. And he didn't understand, and he was bewildered, and he's sort of on the defensive. And I felt that the attorney didn't step in, try to clear it up. Pete was stumbling over his words, and I just felt that was a little bit of unfair portrayal. But I guess my question to you would be, if you were Pete's representation and perhaps there's some momentum to get back in baseball, would you have accepted admittance into baseball with some kind of notation on the plaque in terms of was found to have bet on baseball, or found some kind of statement like that? Just a quick statement, not believe, similar if you had something with steroids, was, it found to have this. Would you have told Pete, accept that deal?
I would absolutely have. I would have said, do what he eventually did. Come clean. Okay. If he did that, he made a lot of mistakes
Do you think him not coming clean right away hurt him?
Absolutely, 100%.
He went with a lie for like another 15, 20 years.
But here's the thing about Pete Rose, and I know you don't want to drag it on, but he wasn't, and this is not a slight on him, he wasn't a sophisticated guy. He was a blue-collar, rough-and-tumble, hard-nosed ball player. He was like a Lenny Dykstra. He was
but does baseball really care about that?
No, that's the problem. They should. They should realize that these are the players. These are their guys. They don't have the Harvard degrees that you have. Sitting in your fucking office, running baseball in a 3-piece suit. He's got the dirty uniform. He's the one who gets hurt to make money for guys like you. And you're going to keep him out of the Hall of Fame and out of your game? Fuck you. Like that's my attitude towards it. At the end of the day, these guys are moralizing with a life that they cannot imagine. That literally every day trying to, ice your wounds and just like be, like professional wrestling in a way. They have vices that they can't let go of because it's the only thing that keeps them performing at the level that they're expected to perform at. And
I understand the analogy, but you're talking about one thing that's predetermined. The other thing is a sporting athletic contest where the result. I'm just giving but I completely agree with you. If I'm hearing you correctly, because I feel this way, I say let them all in.
Yeah.
If you want to put a statement for A-Rod, you want to put a statement for Barry Bonds. I don't mean a statement. If you want to put a sentence or two, what would you have accepted entrance to the Hall of Fame, but maybe banned from working in baseball ever again?
Yes, I think he would have accepted that.
Okay,
I think he would accept that. But here, I have a question for you. Do you consider, like, if you told me that Roger Clemens was scuffing the ball for 25 years, okay?
Yes.
So literally, or Barry Bonds was corking the bat for 25 years, okay? To me, that's different than the steroid thing. Do you agree?
Well, I mean,
that's altering the equipment that you use to play the game. To make them illegal. Even though the steroids were illegal, I get that, but so is a lot of shit people put in their bodies that nobody knows about. So like I don't know.
I think your point too. Pete's numbers in an era where there was not performance enhancing, in an era where athletes did not have the science of diet and training and hyperbaric chambers and injections, and LeBron James now spends over $1 million a year on his body alone with cold plunge. There's just so much science and medicine out there to extend athletes' lives and extend athletes' career in a productive way. He's just this 17-time All-Star. 17 years, he was selected to be in the upper echelon of the game. Now, you might say maybe the last one or two were kind of gimmies because he was popular. I don't know. I mean, I was a young man, but still, that 17-time All-Star, that is staggering. So
4,300 hits.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, Jesus Christ.
Again,
ridiculous.
It's the Hall of Fame. It's not the Hall of Nice. It's not the Hall of Just. It's the Hall of Fame. If
you're going to put Ty Cobb in there, you can damn well put Pete Rose in there.
All right, that was a good one, Grooey. Interesting to hear your comments on Pete Rose. Let's hear your comments on this one. John David Ashton, the actor who starred opposite Eddie Murphy in Beverly Hills Cop, died at the age of 76. This was last Sunday, first reported by TMZ. A rep for Ashton stated that he passed last Thursday in Fort Collins, Colorado, after fighting cancer. The Springfield, Massachusetts native appeared in over 200 screen and stage productions during his 50-year career, including 3 out of 4 installments of Beverly Hills Cop. He returned as Chief John Taggart, the straight man to Eddie Murphy's wisecracking Axel Foley, which premiered on Netflix earlier this year. Some of John Ashton's other credits include MASH, the 1987 John Hughes comedy drama Some Kind of Wonderful, starring Leah Thompson and Eric Stoltz, and of course, opposite Robert De Niro in the 1988 action comedy Midnight Run. He actually pivoted away from acting and got into sports radio, co-hosting the Ashton and Davis Show on 8/7 ESPN Radio. Ashton's rep, Alan Summers, was quoted by TMZ. John leaves behind a legacy of love, dedication, and service. His memory will be forever treasured by his wife, children, grandchildren, as well as brothers, sisters, his extended family, and all who loved him. I'll add this. He did not look really well on the Axel F movie, but Groo, I'll pass it to you. Thoughts on the passing of John Ashton?
Yeah, this was a bummer, surprising, but I'm glad. I was glad that he was able to get into another one more Beverly Hills Cop and be good in it. He was good.
Yes,
and
he was.
He had a lot more screen time than I really expected. So he was good. You're right. He did not look well. I just kind of thought he looked old, which he was. He was older, but apparently he was sick.
Face was gone. Face was gone.
Yeah.
Face was gone.
Yeah. You're absolutely right. He's got. He's a that guy. People like us know his name, but not a whole lot beyond people like us. He's a face that everybody recognizes. He almost stole Midnight Run from Robert De Niro and Charles Grodin, which is one of my favorite movies of all time, and so is Beverly Hills Cop. So for him to be in two of my top tens really is something. So yeah, and he was great in Some Kind of Wonderful. He played Eric Stoltz's father. Good role there. Breaking Away. I don't know if you mentioned that.
Is that the bike movie?
Yeah, the bicycle
movie
from Indiana. He played Dennis Quaid's older brother, like a cop who somehow was completely bald at 19. But he was a great character actor and will definitely be missed. But leaves behind some great stuff. So John Ashton.
Yeah, can't really add much more than that. We got one more, Groo, and this one is a little bit, actually, it's kind of interesting.
Yeah, strange.
John Amos's daughter, Shannon, this I just clipped, I think, this morning, just found out about the actor's death more than a month after his passing. The late actor's son, Kelly Christopher KC, broke the news of his father, John Amos's death, last Tuesday, sharing that the Roots star died on August 21st of natural causes at age 34. Let me read you. It's going to take a little minute here, but to give you a full picture. Casey said, "It's with heartfelt sadness that I share with you that my father has transitioned. He was a man with the kindest heart and a heart of gold." All right. Okay. And then, so the daughter Shannon comes back and says, "Our family has just received the heartbreaking news that my dad, John Allen Amos Jr., transitioned on August 21st. She captioned on her post, I believe this was maybe Instagram, "We are devastated and left with many questions about how this happened 45 days ago, learning about it through the media like so many of you." And she had a couple of more comments. Let's see here. In June of 2023, his daughter Shannon alleged that her father was a victim of elder abuse at the hands of an unnamed caregiver. She wrote, "The cruelty inflicted upon my dad leaves me questioning what kind of human could commit such acts." She wrote on a since-deleted GoFundMe page. A month later, John Amos, now a very elderly man, he said he accused his daughter Shannon of elder abuse, which her representative denied. She would be the primary suspect, if you would, Amos revealed in a video film, I have not seen this video, from a hospital bed as he made a phone call. He's quoted as saying, "I don't know if it's the right term to use or not, but she's the one that I would attribute my elderly abuse to." John Amos Groo went on to say that, "Suffice it to say, we are still family, we love each other, and that's the bottom line. That is my daughter, my first child. I love her. Casey loves her sister. We just have, I guess, what might be described in the tabloids as an acrimonious relationship, but everything heals in time, and the love is still there." That's beautiful words. At that time, the late star added that he believes all families go through trials and tribulations of some sort. Maybe additional news has come out since, but real stunning, another stunning death. Groo, rest in peace, John Amos.
Yeah, this is a bummer too. Another real top that guy, meaning that few know his name, but they know him by the characters he plays. Like guys like us do, but the people, other people, they know he's Cleo McDowell.
He's like the preeminent. I feel like he was the preeminent '70s dad. Really,
from Good Times. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I was a white kid watching him, and I loved him as a dad.
But the name great. John Amos doesn't jump around. That's the way it should. He gives my favorite role of his. It'll be no surprise to you, and I think my brother Steven will agree with me. Is in the Stallone movie Lockup. He plays a prison guard, but I love him in that. The whole stuff about his family, I read all of that stuff, pretty much what you said. What I get from it is that the son seems to be the elder abuse guy. The son seems to be the one, because every statement he's made. Number one, if he passed away in August, you don't keep the sister out unless you're trying to swindle something. Number two, every interview you hear from him as like, yes, my dad, he went peacefully. He was able to get in that last performance on Suits, which will air sometime in May. And we have our documentary that we were filming together, so we have all of that. Plenty of more John Amos to come. He sounded like a fucking rep, a PR person instead of a son who lost a father. So
get me Ken Tony.
Yeah, exactly. So reading all that and reading what the daughter said. Number one, I guess guys like you and me, we don't understand how these kinds of things happen. How families, can. I guess we were just raised in a bubble or something. It doesn't make sense to me. It just doesn't make sense how. Number one, anything that these celebrities say on social media now, to me, I don't trust it, because you never know who's actually saying it. So I'm not buying anything anymore.
Okay, I mean, it's one thing to never, let's say, talk to your dad, your brother, your sister, but I mean, you don't have family friends that families go through acrimony. I mean, I think John Amos's final comments were beautiful. His daughter is maybe kind of trashing him a little bit in the public sphere, and even at an elder age, he's saying, you know what? I still love my daughter. We have an acrimonious relationship. There's ups, there's downs. I still love her, and I think maybe
that's
she
my
still loves
point.
me.
How does it get to that? How does a daughter do that? How does even if you think look at like John Voight.
I could guess. I can guess.
Go ahead.
I mean, the guy was probably worth a pretty penny, and usually I find with most family, it's unfortunately the green can lead to acrimony.
Okay, well then jump over. I know it's got nothing to do with anything, but jump over to like a John Voight and Angelina Jolie.
You know why? You know why?
Well, yeah, but I don't understand why she would have to have a public problem with her father's politics. Why does it have to be public? Why do you have to make it public? What is it about it that you need to go public? To show everybody that you are a better person than your father ever was? Is that your point? And him doing the same thing back to her. Why would you go on and talk about your daughter like to the world? It doesn't make sense to me. These are family issues. Like and we wonder why no one can keep a marriage or a family together, because you fucking tell everybody all your family shit. Okay. Like I don't get it. I just don't get it. And it happens all the time. It doesn't make sense. But yeah, back to John Amos. Definitely rest in peace. He was a face that will never, ever, ever be forgotten. He will always be there. Everybody recognizes the guy from movies like Die Hard 2. Remember how fucking evil he was in that movie?
Yes.
He was great in that, and that was later in his career. It's interesting that good times he became such a big thing, and when he died on that show, his character, it was a big deal because he was leaving because he wasn't happy with something about the show. So for him to go on and have such a lucrative career after that was great. Testament to how talented he was.
I also remember just him being kind of a mountain of a man. He was a big dude.
Big guy.
Big, thick, muscular dude. I mean, rest in peace. Sorry to read about the whole family deal. Groo, you want to hear about The Simpsons, or you remember the Fugees?
Yeah, I'd rather hear about the Fugees.
All right, Groo. Hip-hop diva Lauryn Hill cheated her Fuji bandmates out of their fair share of the proceeds from a planned reunion tour that ultimately fizzled, according to a new scathing federal lawsuit by Pras Michelle, a member of the Grammy-winning trio, claimed in a complaint filed Tuesday in Manhattan federal court that Lauryn Hill's solo success, quote, got to her head, and that she tried to take control of the tour and the lion's share of the expected profits, while keeping the rest of the group in the dark. Quote, betrayals are always sinister, but the closer the betrayal, the greater the evil. The introduction to the 28-page complaint reads, Pras Michelle claims that Hill took advantage of the fact that he was facing mountain legal bills from an unrelated conspiracy case in which he was implicated for a $4.5 billion Malaysia fraud case. I think I read about this.
I'll tell you, sometimes it's good to be middle class.
I don't know about that, but I hear you. The lawsuit accuses Hill of fraud, breach of contract, and other claims, and seeks unspecified damages. Lauryn Hill responded to the allegations in an Instagram post after the suit was filed, saying that, quote, baseless lawsuit by Pras is full of false claims and unwarranted attacks. She refuted the claims in the 7-point post, including that Pras Michelle was given a $3 million advance for the planned tour, and he is in breach of the deal for not repaying the money after the tour was canceled. Groo, the Fugees emerged from South Orange, New Jersey, becoming a 1990s hip-hop sensation with the 1996 hit, Ready or Not, Here I Come, You Can't Hide. And then Lauryn Hill's historic solo album 2 years later, The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill, became the first hip-hop album to win Grammy Album of the Year Grammy. But the group soon stopped performing together, with few exceptions, until a talk of a reunion surfaced in 2021. Groo, any rap left on the Fugees?
Well, I'm kind of ashamed to admit, but I think I got the Fugees mixed up with the Wu-Tang Clan. I thought, which one was Andre 3000 part of?
That was Outkast.
Oh, so there's three of them. So there's three different ones that I'm screwing up.
Wu-Tang was from the city.
What's like the Fugees' biggest hit?
They did a remake of it's crying my face with her finger, living my life, killing me softly.
Killing me softly. Okay, all right.
Yeah. It was just basically Lauryn Hill, but they put it like kind of a hip. So it was Pras, Lauryn Hill, and oh my God, he was a big producer. He was on the Stern Show for a while. Wyclef Jean. I think he produced.
Okay, so Fugees. So Fugees did they do Gone Till November? I'll be gone till November.
Yep. I think that's
was Wyclef, right?
Solo. That was
I love
he's
that
really
song.
good.
I love that song.
Good. Hey, yeah.
And he did an amazing version of Redemption Song, Marley's Redemption Song at a 9/11 tribute show.
I feel like I heard that.
Just knocked me out. But look, all these groups. Again, it's something that I don't understand and never will understand because I'm not part of that whole thing, like a Hall & Oates kind of thing. Like you said, once money becomes involved, everything else becomes secondary. So you could have the closest working relationship, you could make magic, and it's just not enough. And someone always gets greedy, or someone always tries to take more or do something backhanded. Like, look at these two. We've talked about it before. Look at the two dudes from Journey. They're suing each other as they're playing "Don't Stop Believing" together. I mean, like, and Hall and Oates, and so.
I just don't think I could do that. I feel like if I was going on stage and I really had hatred in my heart for my bandmate or my bandmates, I just don't think I'd want to go out there and fake it. I hate to say it, even for dollars or a lot of dollars. I just don't know if I could.
I could do it. I could do it for the paycheck. But here's what I couldn't do.
Your heart really wouldn't be into it.
But it doesn't. It doesn't matter as long as if it's a job. If I'm looking at it as a job and I'm making a lot of money doing it, I have no problem doing it. What I don't get is when you have something good going and somebody does something to potentially fuck it up, like a Hall and Oates. Like, it seems that they had 40-something years of this incredible partnership, and all of a sudden it seems to be that John Oates did something that he had every right to do, but from an ethical point of view, really wasn't right, and the whole thing falls to shit. Everything just goes away. That seems to be the common denominator in all these situations. It's somebody like the Eagles. After all these years of playing together as a band, Henley and Fry saying, "You know what? We want more money, and fuck the rest of you." And,
I don't agree with that. I don't agree.
And
with
they have the right to do it, but from an ethical perspective, you have to say, how much do you really need?
Exactly.
And that plagues every single one of these groups, just like the Fugees. So
yeah. Well, all right. You want to hear about The Simpsons? The opening of The Simpsons?
Sure. I don't think I've ever actually watched a full episode of The Simpsons. Believe it or not, the only Simpsons I've seen, I did see the Bart Simpson, the Simpsons movie, and I did watch the Family Guy crossover, but that's about it. So I'm not a Simpsons guy. Don't dislike, just not a Simpsons guy.
Well, I used to watch it in college and then post college, but I haven't watched it in a long time.
Well, it was cool for an hour, and then it sort of.
Well, I mean, it's the longest running animated. It's the longest running animated sitcom series, but supposedly did a little bit of a switcheroo on their opening episode for season 36, which they called it the series finale. It opened up with an animated version of Conan O'Brien, who used to write for the show, hosting a gala with animated celebrities. He claimed that Fox had been trying to end the show for years. O'Brien showed clips from what he said were unaired series finale scenes from classic episodes of The Simpsons. And then apparently the premiere, it revealed the big twist that the episode was created using AI and involved different dramatic moments that tried to wrap up the show, such as Mr. Burns dying, Moe's bar shutting down, and Principal Skinner retiring. They also animated recreation of final scenes from popular shows like Game of Thrones, Succession, The Sopranos, Breaking Bad, and Frasier. Many fans on X were both amused and perplexed by the show's decision. For his part, series creator Matt Groening, now 70 years old, addressed the possible end to the series in 2021 with an interview with USA Today. He said, quote, "My standard answer is there's no end in sight, because anytime I speculate on the show ending, the people who work on it and the diehard fans get very upset. So I always say there's no end in sight." Groo? The Simpsons.
That sounds like a funny thing that they did. I actually like to see that. I kind of like it when I mean, it sort of seems like an attempt to sort of get back into the conversation. But that being said, it sounds creative. And yeah, as long as the ratings are there and it's still, to quote Kevin Nash, if he's drawing money, you got to keep going. Otherwise, if you're not going to get out. You're not going to leave that kind of money, that guaranteed money, on the table. You got to run with it. So yeah, as long as the paychecks are still aren't bouncing, keep going.
I mean, do you feel like there's a future where AI is going to be writing scripted television?
Absolutely.
I really hope. I really hope not, but
Absolutely,
I think it's coming.
It's absolutely coming, and hopefully we'll be able to keep up with it. I think for a while it will take time. It'll take what it'll do. It'll take the kind of time that the de-aging has taken. When it started out, it was ridiculous. I mean, it was just outrageous, and it's gotten better over time. It's still not where it needs to be, but it's gotten better. So I think that'll be kind of the same principle.
All right, let's talk a little Gruthius here.
Little me.
Yeah. Let's give us an update. You hitting the ab machine yet? You made a whole speech, impassioned soliloquy on ab machine. Are we getting some crunches in these days?
I actually did. Take out the ab machine, and I lifted it up, and I had to move it because I bought a new TV, and I had to put that in. So I had to move the ab machine.
Man's got his priorities. Man's got to have his priorities.
Had to move the ab machine to the other side of the room, out of the way. So now it's not just now it's out of sight and out of mind. It's I haven't really hit it yet, but it's starting to do like a feed me Seymour kind of thing. It's it's.
And we're not going to belabor this point, but you've definitely lost a bit of weight. Are you on a health kick now? Or
No.
Are you eating healthier, slightly healthier?
No,
you still fall back into bad habits? What are we doing?
I'm eating next to nothing.
The same?
I'm eating next to nothing. I have a very small appetite. So when I do eat, I eat whatever I want. So that's actually kind of cool about it. I can eat whatever I want because I eat so little of it. But at the same time, the joy of eating a good hearty meal, it's been a while, All
right, I always remember our classic incident driving. Are you in the soda? Where are you at with soda now? I feel like you used to be a big soda drinker.
Yeah.
Where are you at with soda?
Where I would go through a 12-pack of like Coke Zero in maybe 2 days. Now it might take me 2 weeks. So I barely drink. I don't drink really enough of anything. Like, I don't ingest enough of anything. That's including liquids. So,
Do you drink water?
No. It's like what my appetite is, including liquids. It's just your body's just not calling for anything. So It's not that I don't like it. It's that I'm just not in need of it. So
here's my last question before I move on. Do you sit on the couch and go, I feel like I should be having chips, but I don't have the urge to eat chips?
Yes.
Do you feel like you sometimes want to go back to your old habits?
You know what? I'm going to give you what it is. I had this conversation with my mom yesterday. There's one thing about this is that a lot of food goes to waste, and I hate wasting food, but it just happens. There's nothing I can do about it because, for example, 2 weeks ago, in the morning, I was in the mood for some tuna fish and egg salad. So I made a bowl of tuna and I made a bowl of egg salad, and that's what I was going to have. Okay, so I sit down to eat some of it, and I have a fork full of each, and then I was done. I was full.
Oof.
So I saran wrapped the bowls and I put them in the fridge, and they've remained there ever since. So now they got to go in the garbage because what happens is if I'm sitting on the couch or I'm at home and I'm hungry, I'll be very picky about what I want. So I'll be like, all right, well, I could order DoorDash and get Arby's, which is what I'm craving right now. But I have that pizza in the fridge, but I don't want pizza. It'll make me actually a little bit nauseous if I think about something that I don't want. So a lot of stuff will end up going to waste because I'm very I discriminate with what I choose to eat. So, but look, hey, the benefits of whatever I've been doing have largely outweighed the negatives. So
the reason why I wanted to ask was Andy and I. Are you aware now? Because we have a can of Oli Pop soda. That the new the new craze are these prebiotic sodas.
I'd never heard of it until you told me.
All right, so it's a healthy soda. It has indigestible fibers, which feed good gut bacteria and are broken down in the body through fermentation, which can trigger ferocious fermented farts.
Nice. That's my problem. See, constipation has been an issue. Only 5 grams of sugar, a little bit. It's got dietary fiber, good. It's low in carbohydrates, only 45 calories.
And actually, the article that I quoted stated that Olipop, the prebiotic soda, is considered the best out of all of them. I don't know. It says here 2 grams of added sugar, 9 grams of dietary fiber, and only 35 calories. And it quoted an expert: if you find yourself gassy no matter what brand you try, fiber experts recommend a fart walk to release your wind in the open air. Groo,
I do those anyway.
Take a sip. Would you have a healthier soda to quench your thirst?
Sure.
Let's see. We both have cherry.
Yeah, I'm gonna pop this right here.
There
we go. I love that sound, don't you? It's a great sound. All right, so this we're
like
going to Olipop.
Stone cold.
L'Shana Tova.
Shana Tova.
Peri Hagafen. Interesting.
Here's what I'll say. Obviously, oh boy, I saw a wince on his face. I don't know. I'm saying for me, if I wanted a soda taste, I could drink this and kind of get that soda feel. And I think whether I'm satisfied, that's a question remaining. But I could drink this, and I would substitute this for like a Coke or something like that, and try to get away with being a little healthier.
If I was still drinking as much Coke, soda as I used to, I could do that. I could make that adjustment. But with the amount of soda that I drink now, I wouldn't. Because I don't drink very much of it. So when I do drink it, I'm going to drink my favorite, which is Coke Zero. This is okay. Definitely not what I would go for if one of the, if Coke or Pepsi were there, or even Dr. Pepper. It's got for a cherry soda, it's got, excuse me, they were right about the gas. It's got a little more of a cream soda taste to
it. Some cream soda notes.
Yeah, no, I'm serious. It sort of tastes a little bit more like maybe either cream or black cherry, like you would get it, like Ben's Deli or something.
Oh, I love Dr. Brown's.
Not bad at all. Just not. It's different. It's a different kind of flavor. Like, for example, if I go to a Ben's Deli, I'm going to get Doc Brown's black cherry. I'm not going to get.
Agreed.
I'm not going to get the Diet Coke or what I usually get. Okay, that I would get with a burger or something else. So this tastes like that. So it's perfectly fine for what it is. I put it in the Doc Brown's category over.
Interesting.
That's what it tastes like to me.
Here's my last question: Have you since this weight loss, have you drank alcohol at all?
Very, very little, and believe me, I've wanted to. I just can't. No, I'm serious.
Okay.
There are times you want to go out and you want to get a little intoxicated.
Well, I'm gonna be seeing you in a month or so.
Yeah, and you'll see. And
can we have a beer? At least
we'll be able to do that. That'll be easy. Because in a social situation, it's much easier for me. But there have been times when, I was just chilling out at home and I wanted, say, hey, you know what, maybe I'll get a little toasted tonight, and I'll have a half a beer, and I just won't be able to ingest anymore. It's just really, hey, look, I had a great time for 40-something years, and I'm paying for it now, and I'm happy to pay. I'm happy to pay for it.
Still could have a great
no,
time.
But yeah, no, believe me, we're gonna be raiding Craig's stash for several days.
We better, because I will be ready to see you and ready to have some fun with my friends, my best friends in New York.
Oh yeah.
You want to talk a little WWE?
WWE.
All right.
Big
Today's
weekend.
Nothing Worthwhile podcast, Mr. McMahon and Bad Blood predictions, brought to you by New You Life Center. Be the new you, whether it's virtual RF micro needling, hormone balancing, laser treatments, medical aesthetics, cosmetic. I always think about us talking about Vince McMahon and hormone balancing. He doesn't need any hormone balancing. That guy's a horny little minky. Yeah. Medical weight loss programs. New You is where it's at. See what they're about.
What about coffee enemas? Do they do that?
No. No. Give them a call at 602-274-0068 and tell them you want something worthwhile and you heard about them from Nothing Worthwhile, New You Life Center, Phoenix Premier Med Spa. All right, let's talk about Bad Blood first. What do you want? You want to switch off with predictions?
Yeah.
Let's open up with the WWE Women's Championship match. Bayley versus Nia Jax. You want me to go first, or you want to take a crack at it?
Yeah, you go first.
Okay. I'll read a quick little synopsis, and then I'll give you my pick.
Okay.
Bayley earned a rematch with Nia Jax Groo for the WWE Women's Championship at Bad Blood by defeating Naomi on last Friday's SmackDown. The role model has chased the title since losing it at SummerSlam. Obviously, Tiffany Stratton looms large as the reigning Women's Money in the Bank briefcase holder, meaning, of course, Groo, that she can cash in her guaranteed championship match anytime. Jax, though, has threatened her going as far as to grab her throat, I think, on the last SmackDown. I mean, obviously, Groo, the dynamic here is Nia Jax and Tiffany Stratton, which means, for me, a no-go for Bayley. Nia Jax retains. I don't see Tiffany Stratton cashing in quite just yet, but in terms of the winner of this match, Nia Jax retains, continuing a run that has seen her do her best work of her career. Nia Jax is doing the best work of her career. I was not a Nia Jax fan when they re-signed her. I was on this podcast saying didn't see it, but I have changed. Best work of her career. I just don't see Bayley winning here. What do you think, Rui?
I agree with you. Nia's going to win for a couple reasons. The ones that you said, plus I believe that I don't think there are going to be any title changes tonight because I believe meaning tomorrow night at Bad Blood, because I believe tonight they are taping next week's SmackDown. So
are they going overseas or something like that?
There's something. I'm not sure what it is, but I believe that that's the case. So if they're doing that, they would risk spoilers for that, like tonight going into tomorrow. So I don't see anything like that happening. So, but Nia's winning this match. You're right. She's doing real well right now, and I still think she should be a part of the Bloodline.
No,
it needs some female
I'll just
blood.
Say that. I'll disagree with that one.
Okay.
But both Moody and Groo pick Nia Jax.
Yes.
Andrew, why don't you give a cut first? Damian Priest versus Finn Balor, a battle of former Judgment Day stablemates. Give it a go.
This is going to be a Finn Balor victory. They got him doing most of the heavy lifting right now, it seems like, on the shows. I like where they're going with him. He's getting really hardcore. They seem to be pushing him. I think tonight will be a Judgment Day night.
Tomorrow night.
Tomorrow night. Tomorrow night will be a Judgment Day night, meaning that Priest and Rhea will lose, and Liv and Balor will win.
All right, but we didn't even get to that match yet.
Yes, we did. We just did.
Well, we're doing Damian Priest and Finn Balor.
We already talked about Liv.
No, we didn't. We opened up with Bayley versus
your
memory. You're starting to scare me.
Sorry, forgot.
And by the way, I'll say like on a text, you forgot. He's like, "Oh yeah, sorry." 3 words. I'm like, dude, bro, I'm not kidding. I want a full cognitive test for next week's show.
Should I withdraw my presidential nomination?
Evan Moody, for those where we may be and where we're going. I'm going to surprise you, Andrew. I agree with you. For Damian Priest, a win could mean a return back to the world title picture against Gunther. Listen, they've really pushed Damian hard. This is what I wrote. Everything tells me Damian Priest, but I'm a big Finn Balor guy, and I'd like to see Finn win the big one. I'm going to go with my heart over my head. I am predicting Finn Balor, maybe for different reasons, but I'd like to see Finn get a crack. Yeah, I'd like to see Finn get a big win. He's lost a couple of big-time matches. He's always played that, just on the upper tier of the main event card, and I'd like to see him get a big win myself. So I'm going to go Finn Balor as well.
All right, yeah. I think there's more money to be made from the Judgment Day versus the what are they? The Terror Twins? What do they call them?
Yeah. Terror Twins.
So I don't think that story's done yet. So
thank you.
So I think Balor's going to win this one.
Thank you, Andy Nash. All right. WWE Women's World Championship match: Rhea Ripley versus Liv Morgan. I'll take a crack at this first. Well, Andy already gave it, but I'll. Dominic Mysterio will be suspended above the ring in a shark cage.
I love it.
So do I, by the way. Like, even tonight, I watched a little bit of SmackDown. They had a dumpster match between Mishin and I forget who the other, but like, I love that. I love that they're doing stuff like that. Just throw everything against the wall and let it stick.
Damn right.
It reminds me of, like, I think Jim Cornette was one time, like in Mid-South in the 80s, they did something like that. Anyway, look, you stack up Rhea and Liv, everything says Rhea, but I think somebody's got something up their sleeve. I don't think it's the end of Liv Morgan's run quite just yet. Rhea Ripley will get her comeuppance at some point. I just don't think it's now. I expect Liv Morgan to steal and win and continue their story.
Yes.
Are you okay?
No, all Liv. I think she's doing great stuff. So is Rhea. Like I said, there's more to get from this rivalry. So keep it going. I think the end of the story is Rhea winning back the title eventually, but not yet.
All right, so Moody and Groo agree so far on the first three. Andy, we'll let you get a cut on match 4. It's Roman and Cody versus Jacob and Solo Sikoa, the Bloodline. How do you see it going there?
I'm fascinated to see where you go on this. I'm predicting that we're going to differ on this. I am calling the Bloodline to win this one. I actually want the Bloodline to win this one. I think I'd like to, I'm predicting and I'd like to see, some friction with Cody and Roman, predicting definitely some Randy Orton, Kevin Owens drama there. I think we'll all add up to a Bloodline win, which I think it should be. And definitely room for some. I think they're going to. Are we going with like outer predictions or just wins and losses?
What do you mean outer predictions?
Well, I think. Well, they changed the order of the matches.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know anything about the order. I just got.
Well, all right, so I'll tell you then. So originally, Cody, Roman, and this match was going to open the show, and the Hell in the Cell was going to close it. Now they've switched. The Hell in the Cell is opening, and this is closing, which tells me that there's going to be some kind of disagree with what.
I think they should close with Punk and.
I'm not saying what they should do. I'm saying what they are doing.
Okay, thank you. I work all this to get all this research, and he just by the way, I just went on X 2 minutes ago.
No, that's not the point. That's not the point. The point is that it informs the way that I predict what is going to happen. That means there's going to be some kind of run-in, cliffhanger, schmaz, something.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, but I'm predicting Bloodline to win.
And by the way, everything you're saying makes absolute sense. They're in Atlanta. It's obviously that's got a whole sort of history with the Rhodes family.
Where do they go if they win? Where do Cody and Roman go if they win?
Here's what I wrote. It'll be hard, but I don't see Rhodes and Reigns, the super team, losing. We'll see at War Games at Survivor Series in November. So it definitely in my notes, I'm acknowledging that, the Bloodline could take it, but I wrote Rhodes and Reigns squeak by the new Bloodline. That was my actual predictions.
All right, so we're differing on that one.
All right, so that's the
good.
one difference. But I think if I had to admit it, I think your call is a little bit better there. I'll take Hell in the Cell CM Punk first, Drew McIntyre. I mean, this has been probably rivalry of the year. I don't know, PWI. I mean, there's been no better rivalry, twists and turns. I mean, just fantastic stuff on television as well. And they're saying that it's going to culminate this Saturday inside Hell in the Cell. Each man has secured a big key victory over the other. But here's the deal, Gru. Money's always going to be on CM Punk. They brought him back for a reason. And I love Drew McIntyre. That looks like a champion. I mean, he's massive. But Punk, I'm sorry, he's the bigger star, and they brought him back for a reason. I'm putting 100%, if I could put all the chips down, CM Punk is beating Drew McIntyre in Hell in the Cell, and he's going to move on to bigger and better things. That's how I see it. I don't necessarily agree with it. I think Drew McIntyre is a star right there on Punk's level. Punk's winning this match, though. No way.
All right, so I'm going to be a little humble here, and I'm going to say that the best thing about this match, or the two best things about this match, is A, I have no idea who's going to win, and B, I don't think it matters. I think it's going to be a great match. This feud has been incredible, and I think they're both going to be booked incredibly strong, but I can't call it.
Stop
no,
it.
I'm going to.
What are you, Jack Jamundo?
Very good.
No, he's like
Jack Jamon.
There needs to be a winner. But does it really matter? I mean, stop.
But do you not agree with that, though? It really doesn't matter who wins this one.
Well, here's what I'll say. I acknowledge that Drew McIntyre, I believe, is an amazing star at his own level. So no matter what, whoever loses, they're not going to lose any luster.
Right.
But I mean, a Punk's going to move up, and at Mania, and most likely he's going to fight for a belt.
Yeah. So I'm picking CM Punk, following your logic. So that's I'm copying.
I mean, do you feel something differently though?
I honestly can't call it. I have no idea. Like it could go either way, and I think that's the best thing about it. It's the match I'm looking forward to the most for because it's Hell in the Cell. It's going to be bloody and violent and great, and B, because I truly have no clue how it's going to end. And but my prediction, I see your logic. And if this is going to be the end of this chapter, then I think it's got to go to Punk.
All right, so let's review real quickly for the 4 people in India listening to this podcast. WWE Women's Championship match. Both Moody and Groo have Nia Jax doing some of the best work of her career. Damian Priest versus Finn Balor. Moody and Groo, we like Finn Balor on this one. WWE Women's World Championship match, Rhea Ripley versus Liv Morgan. Moody and Groo picking Liv Morgan, the very cute, bubbly, vivacious,
I love her.
Former Hooters girl, Liv Morgan.
Is she really?
Yeah, she's a former Hooters girl.
Right, I got to get that calendar.
I mean, picture her in that little outfit.
Yeah.
Oy vase mirror.
Mm-hmm.
Groo's going to go with the Bloodline versus Roman and Cody. And Moody says Groo's making all the sense in the world, but I'm going to stupidly pick Roman and Cody, though I think Groo's probably got the better call on that one. I'll admit that. Hell in a Cell, Punk versus McIntyre, both Moody and Groo. We love Drew, but we think Punk's probably the bigger star, and CM Punk's going to go on to bigger and better things as we move towards WrestleMania. All right,
yes.
You ready to talk a little bit Netflix, Mr. McMahon?
Oh, boy. Yes, I am.
All right, it was released September 25th, 2024. Do you want me to give a little synopsis of each episode, or do you want to just go right to the our final thoughts or our thoughts?
Let's go to our thoughts. I mean, we know what happened. I mean, we know what it's not
okay.
like to me. Part of my review is that it really didn't feel episodic to me.
Okay, so why don't we do this? We'll popcorn like we did for the matches. Let's talk about the timing of the documentary first. You want me to give my thoughts first,
yes.
Or you want to go first?
You first.
Okay. So obviously, Andrew, there's if you I don't know. I read the dirt sheets every once in a while. A couple of websites. I listen basically occasionally to Bischoff's podcast. Bischoff talked about the timing of the release of the Netflix documentary and that, quote, WWE was not happy. I'm going to call a little skepticism on that. Obviously, they're opening up with Monday Night Raw, I believe, after the new year, and it's going to be a massive, massive game changer. I think it's only going to be massively successful for both Netflix and the WWE.
Agreed.
So, did WWE play a role in the timing of this release? Maybe, but I don't see this harming the WWE in any way. I think, if anything, they could frame this as this is our coda to the Vince McMahon era, and now we are officially turning the page. We have new leadership, new management. We've made all these different institutional changes. And so in a sense, maybe even there's no such thing as bad publicity. So using the McMahon documentary and all that, still in the top 10. I went on Netflix yesterday to watch something, still in the top 10. So it's still tremendously popular. I just don't see the timing of this as really any negative. And did the WWE play a role? I don't know, but I wouldn't surprise me if they did and say, yeah, release it now. I just don't see it as hurting their brand, the release of this documentary. What are your thoughts?
I agree completely with you. I think that this was done on purpose, because I don't see there's no reason for the WWE to be angry. There's nothing in it that wasn't already out there. If we're going to be real, as far as I'm concerned.
Well, obviously, when Vince McMahon is connected, I mean, there's just
right.
Obviously,
but what I'm saying is, why should they be upset if everything every revelation that was in there is already familiar? Everybody's already familiar with it. So there was no jaw dropper in that thing. I'm not giving my review. That's got nothing to do with whether I liked it or not. There was nothing in it that was like, holy shit. We had our holy shit moments, and they were back, I guess, in the spring when all that stuff, or maybe earlier than that. So I think that my theory is that Netflix wanted to get this out now because it's them saying, okay, this is our past, and that's where it's staying. We are coming clean. We are officially doing this as I think Netflix probably wished it was more of a hit piece than it actually was. Because let's keep
to the topic though.
But that's what I'm saying.
I want to get to.
Okay, all right, I understand. I think the timing was very carefully chosen. It gets it out there. It gets it out there with just enough time in between for anybody who's upset about it to sort of digest. So I definitely think it was all parties definitely had a say in it, in my opinion. I don't think WWE would never. They're too big to. No, they're good with this.
Well,
that's my theory.
I think we both agree, maybe for a little bit different reasons, but yeah, I think the timing is the timing, and it was strategic, and I just don't see it hurting the WWE brand really.
Not at all.
Any further? Not at all. All right, you want to give a crack to talk about the top three things that struck you, or you found interesting, or top three things that struck you about the documentary? I can give you mine, or however you want to roll.
Why don't you go first on this one?
All right. Three things that struck me. I enjoyed or was very interested in the federal steroid trial of that was the first thing. I think what struck me was ultimately Hulk Hogan's comments about it. Hulk Hogan, they had a lot of talking heads. Hulkster probably got the most face time, and probably rightfully so. But really, at the end of the day, Hulk's testimony really
saved him.
Made Vince a free man. And, Hulk had a very interesting comment, something to the effect of, one time I said to Vince, you and I were going to go all the way down the river, brother. And it was like either he told the truth, and no matter, even if he was working for a competitor, he was going to tell the truth because he had that friendship or that bond with Vince, or these were two guys that were never going to let each other go fully down the river, and that their loyalty would always be there no matter what. And so that steroid trial, that whole thing I found very, very interesting, because at that point I was still fairly young man. I'll always find Bret Hart interesting. I have been very hard on Bret Hart, very hard on him on this podcast. I will again say, in terms of the screw job, he did, I think, the wrong thing, but everything else I've changed about him. I mean, the guy pouring his heart out, still affected by his brother's death all these years later, and then talking about forgiving Vince. Vince was like a father figure to him. And, you know, still some of that bitter. He had a line where he's talked about he had worked, let's say, 180 shows in 200 and something days, and he took that turnbuckle, that front turnbuckle. He used to run really hard into the turnbuckle. And that really struck me. Like, you know, I'm sure he got paid well for the time, but he put his body on the line for this guy, and, you know, probably felt betrayed many times. And the Bret Hart, I find him fascinating, and I've definitely eased up on Bret over the years. I enjoyed his stuff. And then the third thing that really struck me, perhaps the most interesting, was Shane McMahon. We knew that Shane had left the company. We had read that he was maybe on the outs, but really talked about it publicly for the first time. And really, again, it's a story of a father and son and their relationship, and the son yearning for the father's acceptance, and Shane going out there and doing crazy stunt after crazy stunt and brutal match after brutal match, really to just get his dad's hug, you know, and Vince kind of talking about it with his own dad, you know, how his own dad was kind of reticent. And so the Shane stuff I found terribly interesting. And the only other thing I'll add before I pass it to you, there was a lot of talking heads, a lot of big time names, but by far the best.
I know we're gonna. Yeah, damn it, you asshole! That was good.
I'm sorry, but Tony Atlas was effing tremendous.
Yeah,
I'd love to message him and see if he'd ever come on our small podcast.
Yes.
The guy was just. We've met him. We met him at WrestleCon, and he was exceptionally.
I met him
gracious.
when I was a little kid.
Yeah, but the level of truthfulness and just speaking at the hip and speaking in old school terms in 2024, I loved it. And, you know, basically, you know, his color, Vince's color, was green. If you drew money, you're cool with me. And I just love Tony Atlas's comments. I thought he was by far the best talking head. Was a little surprised. Not a lot of Cena, not a lot of The Rock, even really not a lot of Austin, but you got a lot of Hogan.
Yeah.
You got a lot of Hogan. You got a lot of, little bit of Triple H, a little bit of Michaels, a lot early on of Bischoff. You know, Hogan and Hart really had they had the most, but Atlas was by far the best. I said a lot. I'll shut up. I'll take a sip of my Olapop soda. Andrew, give us 3 things that struck you about the show.
All right. Well, one is the same, and that's the Shane stuff. That just every word he said I was glued. And yes, the parallel. It's almost like a Godfather 2 thing. You know, Vince and his own dad. So everything Vince had to say, every story he told about his dad, and every story that Shane told about Vince. So that struck me big time. And yeah, Tony Atlas is really now the only talking head that I will 100% take as truth. Because everyone else seems to have a way of spinning their own webs, and Tony Atlas seems to just let it go. And I just love the way he, like you said it perfectly. He talks like an old school wrestler, and that's just the way it was. And I love that about him. And the third thing is, I think that I finally, after all this time, I think I understand Vince McMahon a little bit. And it's very simple. It's when you have an addiction or an obsession or a love affair with something or someone, and that's the only thing that fills your mind, your days, your weeks, your months, whatever. And for him, the WWE was the only thing in his life that really, really, really mattered more than anything, for better or worse. It's not, if you want to call it a character flaw, you can, but he is who he is. And, there are things that you can't control about yourself. There's a lot of things that he should have been able to control. But I think I understand who he is after all these years more than ever before. And that, to me, even though I'll admit that the documentary didn't give me a lot of things I didn't know, hearing it from him for the first time, his perspective, and seeing him talk about these things, that was the novelty. And that's what I think a lot of the criticism is missing. So to answer your question, those are the three things that really that I walked away with.
Okay, do you want to give a crack at, or you want me to take a crack at final review? And did this change your opinion of Vincent Kennedy McMahon?
Well, you went first last time, so I'll go first this time. I was riveted by the documentary, by all 6 parts. Even though, yes, all of this stuff, or at least most of it, I had seen before or I knew, but they presented it in a way which was consistently entertaining. The talking heads that they had, every single one of them had me listening to every word. They chose the right people. There were some others that I would have liked to have seen a little more of, but I just thought that it was a very well-produced, well-documented portrait of one of the most controversial, fascinating, insidious American figures of the modern era. And it did its job. I think the criticism is that, there's not a lot that we didn't know, but Vince McMahon's story has been an open book. What is there not to know? You know what I mean? That's what I was asking myself. What is there that you could possibly want to know that is buried somewhere? He cheated on his wife somewhere. He screwed Sonny in the back of a limo. Well, I mean, what? Would that come as a big revelation to you? No. I give this a big thumbs up. If I have to, are we giving it any?
You want to go 0 to 4 turnbuckles? What do you give it?
0 to 4 turnbuckles. I'm going to give it 3.5 turnbuckles for being just about everything that I hoped it would be. I don't know. It seemed like there might have been a teensy little bit of something missing, maybe something a little redemptive, but maybe there isn't anything. So maybe that's what it is. And to answer the second part of your question, did it change how I view Vince McMahon? No. Changes how I understand him, but he is still always, he is a mad, in my opinion, he's a mad genius. Is he evil? He might be. I guess it's got to be proven, but do I believe that he is capable of doing the things that they say he does? Yeah, because he has shown us in there. I mean, it's reality television. So what we see on TV is never that far away from the reality, no matter how much they want to tell us that, it's just a character. Yes, okay, but it's always going to be an exaggerated version of yourself. So even if the Mr. McMahon character is acting out the fantasies of a Vince McMahon, it still makes him a sick fuck. And I still look at him that way, but I also will give him every ounce of the credit that he is due for having the balls and the courage to fail over and over and over and over again, to keep going. And when he could have folded against WCW and almost did, he didn't. He stuck with it. So you have to, as much as you vilify him, you have to give him just as much credit, in my opinion. But that opinion has not changed. The documentary did not move that needle in either direction.
Yeah, I think actually, in that whole point, he came across a little poorly to me as a businessman, because when he's accusing WCW of predatory business practices, when in honesty he did the same thing 10 years earlier, where he raided the territories and gave all those guys he gave all those guys better contracts, more money, more exposure, and he had it happen to him, and then he's going on television, trying to frame it as Ted Turner's billions versus, I don't know, maybe his 100 millions. I mean, that piece I thought he was coming across as a little bit of a crybaby.
Can I respond to that? Here's what I thought he was trying to say. And it didn't. You tell me if I'm wrong. And it didn't really land. Is that when he did it, he saw it as expanding the wrestling business. And yes, it was going to expand his business to make him. Wait a second. Follow me here. Okay. This is what he said. He was making his business. He wanted to take it global. And the only way to do that was to eat up all of these companies. Not out of a personal vendetta, but to build up what he saw in his head. What he was saying about Turner was that Turner's vision was simply just to destroy McMahon and the WWF. That's what I think Vince was saying. You can believe whatever level of that you want. I think it makes some degree of sense, but
come on.
You don't think so?
Please.
You don't think so?
No.
So you think when Vince did the Black Saturday thing, it was all it had nothing. It wasn't business. It was just I want to kill everybody. Like I think
Jim
Crockett. I hate you. I want you to die.
You're taking. You think that was Ted Turner?
No,
it's capitalism. It's open market. It's free markets.
Right, but Ted Turner already had his empire. That's the thing. That's what doesn't quite. That's where it kind of shifts a little bit. Turner was already at the top.
Coke and Pepsi have a market share. They're not trying to expand their market share.
I feel that Turner was doing it and I think this is what Vince was trying to say, is that Turner was doing it more vindictively rather than to grow the empire. That doesn't make either of them right. Is Vince still a hypocrite? Absolutely. I'm not saying he's not. I'm just saying that's what I think he was trying to say. Whether you buy that or not, is up to you.
Are you? I'm not buying it. Are you buying that? You think that's a valid excuse or a valid statement? Here, Ricky Steamboat. Here, hold on. Excuse me. You had the mic. Here, Ricky. You come over here. Here, Ken Batera. Come over here. Here, Mr. Fuji and Mr. Saito. Leave the AWA. Here, Terry Bollea. That's all he was doing. But it's capitalism, and so in his mind.
Right.
When he's speaking about, listen, I'm a Vince fan. Okay,
you got to be careful now.
Why?
I know.
Be careful. He's going to sell me down the river now. No, but I mean, it's free market. So I feel like Turner was only doing what.
Right.
And now listen, that competition spurred him to pivot his business, and he had a flood of success. It's just that that struck me, and I think even when he was asked about it today or on the doc, he still sort of is going back to. And I think even Bischoff, what I loved about Bischoff this go around is because it's a non-WWE documentary, so I thought actually Bischoff was a little bit more freer. He's always so gracious. Post WWE's WCW Monday Night War, he'll give the credit where credit is due to the WWE. He'll bash himself, and he still does. I was arrogant. He talks about it on the documentary. However, this one, he came out and he said, "Oh, they stole a good portion of what I was doing. Yeah, they did it better, but they stole what I was doing." And I was like, all right, Eric, it's a little bit back to the old 1997 Eric Bischoff, where he was like, but Notwithstanding, I thought Vince was, I mean, if you're talking about Black Saturday, he bought out, I think, the Georgia Championship. He bought out that time slot, and it was a big failure. I think the fans rejected. They wanted the Georgia Championship. I was like, all right, listen, all right, who cares? Anyway, Robin, a final review. You had mentioned what was that non-WWE wrestling documentary we were talking about a little bit earlier?
Beyond the Mat.
Okay. So to me, this is probably number 2 or number 3 best non-WWE produced wrestling documentary. Beyond the Mat has always been my favorite, and I totally spaced out. I love the Andre the Giant one as well. That was produced by HBO.
Flair one was good.
Yeah, that was good. That was a 30 for 30. You're talking about the 30 for 30?
Yeah.
ESPN? Yeah, that was good. Short. All right. To your point about really not breaking new ground with Vince McMahon, I absolutely agree. I saw this more as through Vince's life, you're really getting a cliff notes of the last 50 years of World Wrestling Federation and World Wrestling Entertainment. It was great. Oh, the 80s, we're going to transition from the Pedro Morales, Bob Backlund era to Hulk Hogan. Then we're going to, Hogan leaves, New Generation, into Monday Night Wars, Attitude Era. I mean, it was really, really, really fun stuff to watch. But yes, it kind of felt at times it was less about Vince and more about the business, which, as you have mentioned, he's inextricably, he's linked to. To your point about how he is viewed, I think you mentioned like a mad genius, and did this change how I feel about him? Not in the least. So I agree with you. Not in the least. Sometimes he comes across incredibly humble and incredibly loving dad and a loving guy. Sometimes some of the comments you're like, that was kind of quizzical, boastful. And sometimes he seems like an arrogant ass. I mean, I think that's the range of kind of emotions and statements that a typical or even non-typical people can make. But I really, really enjoyed this. I'll give it, again, I'll also give it 3.5 turnbuckles. Did it break new ground for Vince? For me, no. Did it change my opinion of him? No. But I enjoyed him talking about the different pieces with the WWE, and I certainly enjoyed the talking heads, especially the older guys. Yeah, and I'm not a Hogan guy, but I enjoyed Hogan's comments. Really love, obviously, Tony Atlas. Here's my last sort of question for you, and then I'll take a crack at it. Did you think the documentary was fair? Do you think it was kind of down the middle? Do you think it was angling against Vince, for Vince? Do you think they cut it right down the line? It's a ringer production. Bill Simmons has been involved with the WWE. Certainly has been a vocal critic at times of the WWE. Had Phil Mushnick on, who's killed the WWE for the last 50 years, rightfully and maybe even sometimes wrongfully, in my opinion. How do you think it came across? Did they cut it down the middle, or where do you think
Very fair, because it looked at every perspective of every issue, from the steroids to the to everything, to the Owen Hart situation, which I want to talk to you about.
Go ahead.
Well, because I've always been curious about because they did bring it up. Should the show have gone on? And I found that part of the documentary to be very interesting to hear the different points of view.
Me too.
And I have always had the point of view that night Vince made the right call. And I'm curious to hear what you think. I don't think I've ever asked you, and I don't think I've ever heard you talk about it. I'm curious what you think. I think he made the right call.
So
I did like his explanation.
He asked me, and then he.
I want to add that.
I'm excited when you ask me. It's usually the other way around. You know what, Andy? I would also say, growing up as a wrestling fan, I've always thought that Vince made the right call as well. The show must go on. However, what this documentary showed was the emotion that these performers and the stress and anxiety that they just saw their comrade Jeff Jarrett, that was his tag partner. They might have been best friends at this point. Deborah, I really feel upon watching that, and I don't know, maybe I'm becoming a little bit of a wussy, but their mental health and whatnot. It was a different time back then, but I think. In Vince, if he had to redo it, I think he would have stopped the show, and I think he might have indicated as such on his comments. I think so. I'm right there with you, but I think upon seeing Owen Hart's trying to cut a promo and he's like holding back tears. Excuse me, Jeff Jarrett. Really struck me. Like, these are human beings, and their comrade just died. I mean, Jerry Lawler had to leave the announce booth and was performing CPR, and then he had to come. I think on that point you got to stop worrying about pay-per-view buys and revenue and shut it down. And I don't know. That's just my call.
I don't think it had anything to do with that. I think it was just let's get through it. Let's get it over with. And because I did buy what Vince said about the audience not really seeing what had happened, because we've been to live events. When there's nothing going on in there, it does go dark.
Understand, Groo, but to me, you're talking about semantics. I mean, a year or two ago on Monday Night Football, DeMar Hamlin had a massive heart attack, had to be carted off the field. I think they ended up stopping the game. Was that the right decision?
Did they stop the game?
Yes.
I think it's. I don't know. I hope to God I never have to make that kind of call. I think they probably should have continued to play. I don't know.
Skip Bayless put out a tweet saying, like, this is the playoff hunt. I don't know how they canceled the game, and the guy got vilified. And I think 2 years later he's off Fox Sports. So it has nothing to do with you. I just feel like today, with the emphasis on social emotional, and I'm a hardcore right guy. I mean, sometimes I think it's a bit much, but I think in this case, I think you got to stop the show. The guy just died. The guy just died.
All right, I was going to make a joke, but you just said that, so I can't. Yeah, that's what was unclear.
I just want to add what seeing Jeff Jarrett struggle with the promo and wiping back tears as he's like, "Let me tell you something." That really changed me. Watching Bret Hart talk about his brother crying after all these years, but yet acknowledging he loves Vince McMahon. He forgave him. And I was merciless to Bret Hart. How dare you not drop the title? I think he should have, but I understand the thinking behind it. I put my ass on the line for 360 days, took the turnbuckle spot. I get it. I still disagree with him, but I get the thinking. So seeing those guys struggle on camera, those guys struggle in the ring, they weren't fluid, their minds were on something else, I think. And yeah, it was a long time ago, and we didn't have the awareness of these issues, but I think if it happened today, you have to stop.
If it happened today, it's a much different time. There would be they wouldn't even have the choice. But this was 20-something, if not 30 years ago. It can be amazing that it's that long already. And I don't know, but it was. I'm glad you liked it. I'm glad you liked it because
I did.
because the consensus is that number one, I don't know why Vince.
I haven't read. I honestly.
Everybody's pissed off that they didn't learn anything new. Well, what the hell else is there to learn? That's what I said before. That's the criticism from that side, and the criticism from the Vince side is that it's a hit piece. It's really not. It's a story. I disagree with Bruce. I disagree with what he said because it's really not. It's telling the story. It's everything that's out that is in this thing has been verified as factual. All right?
Right, but you understand where Bruce Pritchard is not coming from that perspective.
Right.
Bruce Pritchard, there's a loyalty and a friendship and a
100%.
Business relationship for 40, 50 years. It would almost be like, you and me and, somebody said something bad about you. I don't care. I'm going to defend you to the death.
And that's what a lot of them did. That's what Jimmy Hart did that.
Jimmy Hart kind of,
and then he pulled back. He said, "He's like, I don't want to go there, or I don't know if I should say this." Cena was very clear that he wasn't going to throw Vince under the bus. So yeah, and Undertaker as well. And there's something to be said for that kind of loyalty. Does that buy forgiveness for other atrocities? No, but you have to, if you're going to mention the horrible things that someone does, you must acknowledge the good as well, as far as I'm concerned. Whether it's Vince McMahon or whether it's Bill Cosby or whether it's P. Diddy or whatever, you can't ignore who they are when you're talking about what they've done.
Well, no, I mean, I think Vince is a titan of industry. Like I put him. I mean, you may find this ridiculous, but he's like Henry Ford, Elon Musk. I mean, he took something that was a very niche product and it became a $1 billion mainstream entertainment. I mean, it's only growing bigger. I mean, I'm just amazed with the Endeavor deal, and the Netflix thing is just going to be tremendous. I see absolutely zero downside.
Yeah,
I mean,
this was his goal. This was his goal from the begining. To take.
Do you think? I think Nick Khan really shaped that business vision. I think Triple H really shaped the creative side, but I think Nick Khan took this business model and really took Vince, and now Vince is gone, but it really is taking it to the 23rd century, whatever. You know, it's just incredible.
Yeah, but even Vince being able to take it from what it was under his father all the way to WrestleMania 3 is astonishing in and of itself. So the legacy is intact, and so is the reputation. The documentary does not change that.
Okay. All right.
But I'm glad they made it. It did not let me down, and I'm glad that you liked it too. We seem to be the only ones.
Really? I loved it.
I listened to the guys on Busted Open. I listened to some of the podcasts, and they all say, "Well, what else is there to listen to?" So they all say the same thing.
No. Like, I think sometimes were they critical of it?
Yeah. Maybe they're pissed off they didn't get asked to be on it. I don't know, but they're saying, everyone's saying, I didn't learn anything new, and I keep saying, what else is there? Vince is an open book. What else is there? Do you need to hear about how the shit went into Janelle Grant's mouth? Do you need to hear that?
Stop it.
No, I'm saying that's my point. It's like they were hoping for a hit piece. Especially the guys on Going in Raw. Those
guys how do you listen to them anymore?
Well, when they're informational.
Do not reference them on our podcast anymore.
They won't get any more of our air.
No, because they are. I've listened to them, and they always disappoint me because it's one thing to criticize, but it's one thing to be guys who are angled in a hit piece.
Yes.
I mean, listen. Here's what I would say. I don't think Vince has ever done this kind of extended interview over the course of hours and, has been, this open and honest about his life. Yes, I agree with you. Everything's been out there. But, some of his interviews, he's been downright combative. He's never given this kind of unfettered access in terms of the interviews. Obviously, he cut interviews, when the allegations came out, and that's that. But I thought this was tremendously entertaining.
Yep.
I mean, but again, as I said in my review, I found this more to be a cliff notes of the last 50 years of World Wrestling Federation entertainment. Obviously through Vince's life, but was really like a nice synopsis of my time as a fan, pretty much.
But it paralleled Vince's personal life with the rise of it's almost like the rise of the business, the fall of the personal life. And it was kind of like juxtaposed like that. And, I never knew that he did not know his own father until he was 12 years old. No clue about that. Never knew that. So you want to learn something new? You want something that can not forgive, but maybe help explain the inner turmoil or rage that one might carry with them? That's not an easy one. The way he described his first 12 years of life is pretty traumatic. All right? Doesn't forgive anything, but it makes certain things make a little bit more sense.
All right, let's move on here.
You didn't
Andrew.
agree. You don't agree with that.
No, I'd like to just move.
Okay, all right.
Move on. No. I mean, they talked about his childhood. Does that drive him? Absolutely. Sure. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy. I love the video. 4:00. They showed one video. It was dark, and he got access. Somebody opened up a gym for him. I mean,
yeah.
I love shit. I love shit like that.
Yeah.
And it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see where these allegations go with the federal investigation, and it'll be interesting to see ultimately what's the final. I don't know what's the final legacy, so to speak, of Vince. We'll see what happens.
I think he'll settle the lawsuit, and he'll probably get some criminal charges and plea bargain it to something. And then he should, honestly, it's the first time I've ever agreed with Tony Schiavone in my life. He said Vince should just buy an island somewhere and just disappear for the rest of his days.
That's what I said.
That's what I would do.
That's what I said already.
Why not? Just take
He's
whoever wants to go with you and just say, hey, we're gonna go get a little island paradise there, have whatever you want, and I mean, I don't know how old he is, but can't have 20 years left.
No, I agree. I've said already on this podcast he's going to probably pay, a lot of money. Criminal charges or not, he's going to make it go away, and he'll live his life in his mansion, but he'll live his life in infamy. The parties, the famous people, all that stuff. He'll no longer have access to this. All right, Andrew, you want to give us one thing you're watching this week?
Yes, I'm watching a movie, a documentary called No Direction Home, directed by Martin Scorsese. It's about Bob Dylan. And I am loving it. I've been listening to a lot of Bob Dylan lately. I just somehow on Sirius, the Bob Dylan radio came on. He doesn't have a channel, but on the app they have these different stations.
Yeah.
So it's Bob Dylan and Dylan inspired artists. And just every time a Dylan song comes on, I'm like, holy shit, this is great stuff. And so I've just been, and I saw Dylan over the summer at Bethel Woods, and he was terrific. So I've just been sort of getting into Dylan, and I ran across this documentary, started watching it, and it's really, really good. I highly recommend it. I don't know where you would get it. I get it on an app called Quello or Quello, Quello. I don't know what that means. It's like all music stuff. It's like all music stuff.
What's the name of the documentary again, please?
No Direction Home.
Direction Home.
Yeah.
Okay.
Really, really interesting stuff. And Dylan himself, for a guy like that, you would think would be sort of a strange guy in interviews. He's as down to earth and as normal as as can possibly be. Surprisingly so.
Did in this documentary, did they talk about when he purchased the World Bodybuilding Federation?
Actually, if you want something that was a little bit left out of the McMahon thing, I would have liked to have heard a little bit more about the controversial relationships. No, the controversial relationships. They didn't go. I don't know. I would have liked to have heard a little bit more about him and the Macho Man, I think.
All right. Well, okay.
Anyway.
Right.
What are you watching this week? Anything?
I'm all caught up on Tulsa King.
I am not.
I guess I can't really say anything about it.
But give me a thumbs up or thumbs down at least.
Okay. Here's the thing. I've been down on season 2. Especially with this whole FBI storyline, but they finish that and they move on, and the ending of episode 3 gets this thing back on fucking track.
Ooh.
Like I wanted it to. Gets back to the fucking Stallone and characters that I fell in love with in season 1. So
all right.
The first 2 episodes are very middling, and then the ending of episode 3, you're like, fuck, finally. Now we're back to Tulsa King. So
all right.
I'll
Fuck
say
football. Sunday is episodes 1 through 4 for me. I'm putting.
I also watched. I also watched Netflix. Again, I love that true crime stuff. It's called Jailbreak, Love on the Run, and it's about a assistant prison supervisor. She worked 30 years and was 56 years old and put in for retirement. And on her final day of work, she escaped with an inmate.
I heard about that.
She was supposed to take him for a mental health evaluation at the courthouse, and they were on the run for 11 days. And of course, she knew as a law enforcement officer what the kind of things that they'd be looking for, and was able to stay out on the run. Fascinating background into the lives of the two people. So Jailbreak, Love on the Run, Netflix, good stuff.
Yeah, I heard about that. I thought you were gonna say you were watching the Menendez brother thing.
I don't want to watch.
Supposed to be pretty good. It's supposed to be pretty good.
I don't want to watch the theatrical.
Oh, you like documentary?
Well, yeah, and I heard some stuff about the theatrical that kind of turned me off to it a little bit. But I will watch the documentary piece. I think they are coming out. They have a theatrical piece and a documentary. I'll definitely watch the documentary. I'll probably skip the theatrical, but nonetheless, good stuff. All right, Andrew, for our next episode of Nothing Worthwhile, we're going to go to Van Damme It. We're going to take a look at Jean-Claude Van Damme in 1989's Cyborg, and this one's a beaut. You got to love all things post-apocalyptic, and that name, Gibson Rickenbacker, Groo, Cyborg.
Gibson Rickenbacker, that's his name in the movie?
Yes.
I don't remember. Well,
you always love like bad action names.
And I've seen, it's funny because I've seen these movies. It's just been forever because we used to go see these movies in the theater.
I feel like I remember as a kid watching Cyborg like on HBO one.
Because I thought it was like a Terminator sequel, and I think this was before Terminator 2. In fact, I think
89. 89.
So it was before T2. So, and this was like, to me, this was like in the Terminator vein, and I was all into that. So I'm looking forward to seeing it again. I remember liking it, but those were through like 13-year-old eyes. So I don't know. We'll see. But I'm looking forward to seeing it again and definitely talking about it. I always love doing the Van Dammens.
Yeah, and then maybe we could say something controversial and hugging the cactus, or somebody could they could
Passion
yell
of
at
Christ
us. So.
too.
Yep. All right. God, it's Friday. It's late by you. So, Groo, why don't you take us out of here?
Yeah, in a mere 12 hours from now, Nothing Worthwhile will make the trek across the border to Canada when we join up with the last of the Action Heroes hero, Ryan Rebalkin, and the One More Round podcast, the review of, I think, episode 3 of Rocky 5. That's what we'll be doing tomorrow, a mere 12 hours from now, 12 noon, 9 Pacific. Yes, we're joining the One More Round podcast with the last of the Action Heroes tomorrow, the Rocky 5 review. And then next week, we'll be coming back at you with Van Damme and Cyborg, otherwise known as Terminator 1.5. And until then, ladies and gentlemen, we thank you for joining us here on Nothing Worthwhile. And until next time, meaning until tomorrow, 1, 2, 3, Rip.